Hello, welcome to the Courageous Self-Care podcast. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. On this show, we talk about self-care that, well, it's not how a lot of people think about self-care because it goes beyond bubble baths and chocolate and wine. It also goes beyond manicures and spa treatments, and it even goes beyond or integrates, I guess, nutrition, hydration, rest, and what's the other thing? Exercise. Yeah, that's what most people think of as self-care. And if you're just focusing on those things, then it's all about the body. And there's so much more to you than your body. And so I know this from experience. I used to just focus on my body, and I did not have the results that I wanted energetically or like in my relationships. And at the time, I thought I was just pretty happy. But now that I have learned and now that I teach about courageous self-care, I know that life can be so much more rich. And that is why I love to get together with you on this podcast. So thank you for tuning in. If you're new here today, you are here at an interesting time. I'm doing a series of Courageous Self-Care Festival Insider interviews. And that means that I am interviewing the amazing speakers and vendors from the Courageous Self-Care Festival. It's coming up in Calgary on November 16th. And I thought these speakers and vendors are just too good to keep to one day. And so I'm spreading the word all over the world about these incredible speakers and having them share what gets them juiced up and why they align with self-care and helping them connect with you as well. So today I have with me Scott Hutchison. Scott, welcome to the show.
Hi, Christina. How are you?
I'm doing sensationally well. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. This is amazing. It's going out to the internets. I love this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it is exciting. There are over 30 different countries represented as listeners. So we are global, which is
awesome.
Very exciting.
This is really good.
It is. So Scott, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you love to do.
Sure. I'm Scott Hutchison, the energy-rich speaker and coach. We have a practice here in Calgary. We're a chiro-focused office, but we've branched out into all these wonderful little adjunct things that can help people modify, use, attain, and build energy in their lives so they can go and tackle the big things to do more, be more, and live more.
Well, it's all about energy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, everything is energy. That's
right.
Yeah.
And Scott, you're going to be speaking about something really interesting at the festival that I think a lot of people are going to relate to. So tell us a little bit about that and why it's important to you.
Yeah, so it's reframing your stress response. A lot of people get hamstrung with anxiety or impending things that are about to happen, and stress builds up. Or they've had a series of things happen in their lives that are perceived to be happening to them and not for them. And that builds up a tension load within the body and the nervous system. We're going to talk about pro tips, insider things, the secrets that I've learned over 11,000 hours of clinical time, plus the vast knowledge of all the other practitioners that I have access to help a person quickly change that response.
Well, that sounds like it would be super valuable to know.
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah, yeah. It is. It's helped me in my life. There's many instances where I've come up to a situation that I feel this big and overwhelmed, and it's the difference that makes the difference in my life. If I can reframe it, quickly use the energy that is present there, and be able to do something much bigger.
And so that might already be your answer, but is that why this topic is important to you, or do you have a story around that?
I have a story. Many times I've come into a situation in my life where it's been required that I reframe my response to stress, where it's a critical thing. And I'm not a trained, I'm not a soldier. I'm not an EMT. I'm not someone who's put into that crucible on a daily basis. But when it's critical, I need to be able to act and step up. There was an instance in our life when my wife was having a medical emergency, And it was a critical importance to me, and it was a very emotional moment. And had I cowered or stepped down or downsized my life energetically at that moment, I would have missed being the person I was meant to be. I would have missed the opportunity or had the awareness to glean the lesson points that were being handed to me on a silver platter. They would have just sailed right by. So being able to reframe that response, not dissociate it from it, not to suppress it, but to actually experience it with bravery and courage, and be able to get the actual juice of life out of a situation without it happening all over you, which is how most people respond to things. And it's a reflexive, reactive human thing. But what if we can rise above that, use an optimization and really experience something for the beautiful moment of our human experience that it is. That's
yeah,
what I want to help people with that.
That's a powerful reframe. And I've just been reading about stress in particular, and often we put ourselves or experience situations that are distressing. And what we actually want, stress is not all bad. There's a whole positive side to it too, right? And so we want to be in these situations that challenge us to grow. And what you're sharing is how to meet those challenges and get the benefit from it, no matter how unpleasant it might seem at the time. There's always something deeper and richer in there.
There's always a lesson. And it's really how we're looking at it at that moment, a perceptual shift. Maybe a structure of the situation just needs to be nudged a different way, or our behavior, our reflexive behavior that we fall down into. What if we could change all three of those, or just work on one area of that? And how would that change the equation coming into a new or similar situation? We often recreate the wheel over and over again.
Yeah.
And if we're entering into that cycle one more time and we know it's coming, we're suffering twice at that point. Once before and once during. And then what are the lingering effects in our body and our nervous system? How much do we downgrade our life to meet that stressful level? So
yeah, we certainly don't want double the suffering.
No.
I'm a big believer in looking for the gifts in all situations. And there was one situation where I was super stressed out and I was kind of lost out in the country driving and missed an appointment. And I remember driving down the country road going, I'm ready for the gift. Show me the gift.
Sometimes you have to put it out there. You have to ask for it. And I've had situations in my life when I've done exactly that. But it really was critical, the state that I was in, to be able to receive it.
Yes.
If I was, swearing a blue streak like a trucker, or really, really inside my head, and not able to perceive anything going on outside of me, again, I would have missed it. And these are the golden lesson points that we forget. We forget that they exist. So. And
so you are there to help us remember.
I'm gonna help you remember. I'm gonna do a little bit of workshopping. There'll be a little bit of breathing. I mean, that's breath is the remote control for your brain, and if we can not hit the mute button, but maybe turn down the volume a little bit, we can start to think a little clearer. And that's I'm gonna help people with that. It's gonna be
awesome.
Good.
It's gonna be super valuable.
Yep.
Very excited. Now, I want to get your perspective on what I call courageous self-care. So I'm curious, what does self-care mean to you, Scott?
Wow, that's a fantastic question. And for a guy's perspective, and I believe the guy speaking at your event this time.
The male presence.
The male presence. So I'm going to have to bring the masculine energy to this.
That's right.
This is typically outside a male's persona to really dig deep into what self-care is. Typically, a man will wait till something is falling off of them,
right?
and then they'll drag it behind them like a badge of honor for years and years. And at some point, a man will just be a husk, a hollow shell, reactionary, reflexive toxicity, if we want to talk about that. And we don't have to go down that avenue, but at that point, self-care becomes a critical thing, and it becomes an emergent situation. And usually that's too far gone at that point. So part of my job is to help guys understand that little tiny efforts throughout their life can add up to big things at the end. We all fell into the trap of drinking too much in our 20s. And we probably knocked maybe a weekend or two off the back end of our lives, which is not so great. But we really have to take it to an emotional bonding. I want to be there for that moment when I'm walking my daughter down the aisle, when she graduates. I want to be there for my wife when she has that special achievement and she's up on stage. I have to be in a specific frame of mind and a specific body and a specific energy to be able to show up for a person. And that self-care comes in different forms. For me, it's eating correctly. It's understanding how I organize energy and information. And it's how I show up for other people. That's part of my self-care regimen.
Love it. Love the male perspective, and you're so right. When I first started doing self-care, and even when I was going to retreats all over North America, I would come home and say to my husband, I learned this stuff, and he'd say, what was it? And I'd say, well, it doesn't apply to you. You're a man. And then I tell him, he's like, I can do that too. What are you talking about? So yes, it's important for everyone. Everyone deserves the attention to pour into ourselves so that we feel whole and complete, and then we can give from a place of overflow to our loved ones.
Yeah, but that's we fill the cup up and it spills up all over everybody else. I mean,
that's right.
I like that. So
yeah, with all sorts of goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and for courage, I am curious, what is something that you'd love to share that not a lot of people know about you?
Well, that's a great question. I once played in a rock and roll band.
Oh, wow.
In my 20s down in Vancouver. My wife knows this because I talk about it all the time. And if you want to know if someone's a photographer or on keto, we're in a band, don't worry, they'll tell you. I was in a rock and roll band, and I got to have an unusual situation. I got to record in a multi-million-dollar recording studio with some of the finest people, the finest engineers. I had a fella actually come up to me and ask me, Mr. Hutchison, what would you like for dinner? I'm going to get the rest of the band something to eat. So, a mind-bending thing. And then I got to meet Bon Jovi, so that was cool too.
Wow, yeah. Very cool.
Just after he cut his hair. So.
Your eyes were some of the first to see it.
Yeah, it was a shock actually. Who is that guy?
Yeah.
That's really?
That's great. I didn't know about that about you. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so I know that listeners are going to be very curious about the self-care that you speak of for men, and lots of women are like, ooh, I have a man in my life who definitely needs to know that. And I know you don't work with just men, but they're going to want to know more about energy and how you work with it. So where can they find you online if they are not local?
Oh, well, you know, there's a thousand doors to the Golden Palace. And oftentimes it just takes us to open one door to discover that we can do this. This is very simple. The easiest point of entry is to connect with me on energyrichday.ca. That'll take you to my personal page. And there's a 20-minute call that you can have personally with me. And we could talk about these things. I mean, we're not looking to push you in any different direction, but I think we should have a conversation before things get out of hand. And if it works that I push you towards more of the clinical aspect of our clinic with chiropractic massage, acupuncture, or even some of the coaching work, which would be the other half of the work that I do, at least we've made a connection and a friendship is fostered. So that would be the quickest way. The other way would be to go to elanfamilywellness.com, and that gives you all the services that we offer here in the office. With that, you can kind of pick and choose from the menu where you would like to start. And we always have special things going in the office, whether we're raising money for our local charities, or we're having special events in the office. Like coming out to Christina's event here. This is a special thing. So we have a bunch of mechanisms in place to help people plug into this, which is good.
Yeah, you're really community-based, and I love that about your practice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So do reach out to Scott if you are feeling anything, whether it feels like, yes, I absolutely want to reach out, or, I could never reach out. That's a charge. And so you want to act on your charge. If you're feeling nothing at all, that's okay. That's fine. But if you're feeling something, especially if it's uncomfortable, do reach out, because that is your body's guidance system telling you that there's something there for you. So I encourage you to take action on that.
Yep.
Scott, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your stories and your energy with us. It has been a delight chatting with you.
Thanks, Christina. We'll talk to you soon. And everybody, register your tickets and come. It's going to be great.
That's right. I'm going to tell you how to do that. So as a gift for listening to this episode all the way to the end, I think it's so magnificent when people start and finish something these days and don't get distracted, then I would love to give you a free ticket to the festival. So you can click on the link in the show notes, which is selfcareticket.com, or you can type that into your browser. Once you get there, you press on any of the activate your ticket buttons and enter your name and email, and you will get all the details with all the speakers and the insider info, and there's going to be all sorts of prizes and a beautiful wellness marketplace where Scott, your wife, is going to be there representing Elan Family Wellness. So it's going to be a magical day just like last year.
I'm excited. It's going to be great.
It is going to be great.
Yep.
Thanks again, Scott, for being here.
Thank you, Christina. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, and thank you for listening from wherever you are in the world. I encourage you to come back during this Festival Insider series, and do come back after. We'll get back into the regular swing of things with lots of strategies and tools for courageous self-care. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.